I was driving to Mom's the other day to help her with some chores around the house. My dad passed away 5 years ago. A few days before he passed, he made me promise to help Mom spend their last years in the house the whole family grew up in. So now I go to her house even more often than I would have to clean the gutter, mow the lawn, check the basement sump pump, among other things. Mom tells me she doesn't want to bother me and has said multiple times that she wants to go to a retirement house. She means it, but only because she doesn't want to be a burden on me. Which she's not, so I just pretend I can't hear her whenever she says that. But anyhow, I'm driving on a lonely parkway and it's only been like 5 minutes since I left the house. I'm a rancher and reside in a remote area. I have to drive about 20 minutes on this parkway to find any signs of civilization. Also, this is the only road that takes me into the city. Otherwise, there's an old dirt road that was used in the 50s, but no one drives on that road anymore. I mentioned the dirt road because the parkway was blocked by a fallen tree. It was enormous and there was no way going around it. The parkway is carved around the side of a small mountain, so you can't really go off-road unless you want to plunge to your death. I turned the truck around and headed directly toward the dirt road. I drove there a few times when I was a kid, and so I figured I would find my way around. The road was somewhat spooky, or maybe it was just me chickening out. I don't know, but I did get lost a couple of times and that sort of kept me on my toes. It took me about an hour to drive out of there, and I was right back on the parkway. That is, on the same parkway that I was on, but roughly about the distance that I would have traveled in 15 minutes if I were driving on the same parkway. So after that, I went to Mom's, worked on everything that she needed for the week, got some groceries for her, then headed back home. On the way back, the entrance to the same parkway from earlier was blocked by a couple of police cruisers. I pulled my car to the side of the road, then walked toward the officers who were talking outside of their cars. I asked them if the downed tree had been cleared yet, and one of the officers responded, "Tree? Yeah, there are downed trees, but it was a mudslide and there's a big mess out there." So then I told him about the downed tree further down the road, and the officer told me that he didn't know anything about that. He told me that he would pass along the information to the right people and that the tree should be cleared after they clean up the mudslide. I said thank you, shook his hand, then left. I used the dirt road to go home, and once I exited on the other side, I'm not sure why, but something was telling me to drive back to the spot of the downed tree. I did, and when I arrived there, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. There was no downed tree. I was in the same spot where the tree should have been. I've been driving on this road ever since I got my driver's license. I know this road like the back of my hand. I knew I was in the exact same spot, but there was no tree. And no one had cleared it either because every single tree on the side of the hill were intact. So I drove further down the road and found the aftermath of the mudslide. Road workers were busy clearing it from the other side, and that clearly meant they couldn't reach the downed tree even if there was one, which I found out just now there wasn't. The next day, I spoke to a few people in town to figure out around what time the mudslide might have happened. Chris, a farmer who lives about 5 miles east from my ranch, knew exactly when because he barely escaped it from the other side of the road, meaning he was driving from the opposite direction of me when it happened. I was never good at math, but it was easy to calculate that I could have been in the middle of the mudslide had I not seen the imaginary downed tree. What I saw that day looked real. Today, I know it was something that my mind had made up, but at the time, it looked so real, I even touched it. I don't know what really happened that day, but Mom wants to think that it was Dad looking out for me from up there. She and my sister cried when I told them of the happening. Unlike me, they are very religious. As for me, I don't really know if it was my father or just a coincidence. But I admit, it does feel like something or someone was watching over me that day. Otherwise, I might not be writing this story for you. I've always been a cynic, and Mom never liked that about me. But I'm starting to look at things differently now. Maybe miracles do happen. Okay, so I don't really believe in ghosts, but something happened recently that's challenging my beliefs. The other day, my friends and I were messing around with a Ouija board. At first, we mocked at the idea that one can summon spirits with the usable board that you can easily purchase on Amazon. But then one of my friends dared us to try if we were so sure that it wouldn't work. Everyone sort of hesitated to go ahead with the dare. I looked around for a while and then I don't know what got into me, but I shouted, "Alright, let's do it." We gathered around and followed the rules written in the instruction. Notice I don't describe the whole process in detail because nothing really happened. I mocked the spirits in the room. I said, "Show us a sign if you're not afraid of us." When nothing showed up after several attempts, I said, "That's right, I will send you right back to hell if you show up. At least you know what's good for you." And all of us laughed out loud, but again, nothing happened. I walked home with a friend after we were done playing around. I wasn't scared at the time, and I don't even think that I was thinking about the Ouija board anymore. I went straight to the bathroom when I arrived at home. I was sleepy, and I quickly wanted to brush my teeth so I could go to bed. I was about done brushing when the faucet in the bathtub pulled out on its own. It's not hard to pull the lever, but it definitely isn't so buttery that it will pull out on its own. It took me a couple of seconds to react, but I got the biggest scare of my life. I stormed out of the bathroom screaming, and my parents rushed out of their bedroom in shock. I told them what had just happened to me, and Mom was like, "Cheryl, I think you are a little too old for pranks like that. And by the way, it's not even funny." And they casually went back into their room. All kinds of scary thoughts circled above my head, but I tried to reason with myself. I kept telling myself that it couldn't be real, and that perhaps a sudden burst of pressure in the pipes could have pushed the lever out. I went to bed but kept the lights on. I normally like my room pitch black when I sleep, but then there was no way that was happening on that night. I woke up some hours later because the room felt cold. I opened my eyes and saw the blanket floating in mid-air. I was so scared that I couldn't even scream. That never happened to me. I had never been that scared in my life. Unnerving seconds ticked by when all of a sudden I decided to make a run for it to my parents. I got up and ran screaming from the top of my lungs. I rushed into my parents' room and I was crying uncontrollably. Mom and Dad finally realized that I was telling the truth. Although it only means they believe that I'm terrified and they don't necessarily believe that a spirit is haunting me. I've spent the last 3 days like this, with me constantly being spooked by the spirit. It never does anything when people are around. It scares me only when I'm alone. It's like whatever demon I may have awoken is shadowing my every move. I think it's time that I sought help. This is a legit story, and I'm not kidding. I hope you can publish my story first, so if any of your subscribers know a way to make the spirit go away, they can perhaps write the instruction down in the comment section. I hope you'll take my plea seriously and help me get some guidance. I'll thank you in advance. Hey guys, Dennis here. So I received the email for the last story about 9 days ago. I didn't check my inbox for about a week, and hence the reason why I couldn't get the story out faster. I was also busy at work, but then I suppose I could have published it on the 29th had I checked my inbox earlier. In any event, Cheryl, your story's been published. Hope you've received the help you needed, but if not, hopefully one of my subscribers can help you. Good luck, Cheryl. I hope you're well. As for the rest of you guys, thanks for listening. I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye for now.